The day they took our children. The stars over Jupiter's moon Io shimmered against the void, casting a cold halo around the Terran Fleet Academy, humanity's proudest experiment in peace. For the first time, human cadets trained alongside Imperial offspring, learning tactics, languages, and the delicate dance of coexistence. The Academy had become a symbol of hope, a treaty made flesh and steel. Commander Elena Darrow stood in the observation deck, watching shuttles arc across the black horizon. Her uniform, scarlet and white with green command trim, gleamed under the cold lights. Her daughter, Leah, had been accepted into the cadet corps 6 months earlier. 6 months of hard work, laughter, and tentative friendship between species that had once burned each other's worlds. Elena still remembered Leah's words that morning. "You fought the war, so we wouldn't have to, Mom. Now, let us build something better." Those words echoed like a promise. Until the silence came. At 1,400 hours, the comm channels from the Academy went dark. Not jammed, deleted. The entire station's transponder vanished from the Terran network. Sensors showed only the debris of an orbiting weather satellite. Then nothing. Within an hour, the Empire's regional command transmitted a statement. An internal security matter. Human presence aboard the station was unauthorized. All Terran individuals are in secure custody. Custody. The word landed like a knife. Earth's council erupted in panic. Parents screamed. Generals demanded mobilization. Diplomats pleaded for restraint. Every news outlet on the planet broadcast the same headline: hundreds of human cadets missing. Elena's hand trembled as she replayed the transmission again and again, searching for any sound beneath the static. A voice, a scream, anything. She found only silence. When the council convened in Geneva Orbital Hall, she was there, uniforms still blood-stained from the riots that had broken out when the truth spread. The chamber was full of voices, but no courage. Counselor Voss was the first to speak. "We must not escalate. The Empire's dominion stretches across 10,000 systems. A war now would doom us all." War. Elena's voice cut through the chamber. "They already started one. They took our children." Another diplomat rose, hands trembling. "We can negotiate their release. The Empire respects procedure." Elena stepped forward until the holographic map of the galaxy glowed against her face. Blue dots marked human colonies. Red marked Imperial worlds. The red outnumbered the blue 100 to 1. "You think they respect procedure?" she said quietly. "They respect strength. They respect fear. And right now, we're giving them neither." The chamber fell silent. Outside, the orbiting fleet of Earth, old, scarred warships from a generation ago, drifted like forgotten bones. Most have been mothballed after the peace accords. Their AI cores shut down, their weapons dismantled. But the memories of war were not so easily erased. Elena stared out through the viewport. "When they burned Titan, we rebuilt. When they bombed New Delhi, we endured. But this," she closed her eyes, "this we cannot endure." Someone whispered, "What are you proposing?" She turned, and the light from Jupiter caught her face, blood, exhaustion, and fury woven into something unbreakable. "You captured our children, Galactic Empire," she said, voice steady as steel. Now we stopped being gentle. No one spoke after that. The declaration spread through the network like wildfire. A phrase turned into a movement. Across human space, old war veterans reactivated combat drones. Miners from the belt began refitting freighters into gunships. Scientists reopened archives of forbidden AI warfare programs. Every parent who had lost a child signed on. Every engineer, every pilot, every orphan of the last war answered the same call. Humanity, long divided by politics and profit, found unity in rage. By the next dawn, fleets that hadn't flown in 20 years ignited their drives. Mars orbital factories glowed red with new production lines. The Terran anthem played across every comm channel, not as a song of pride, but as a vow. Elena stood aboard the command carrier TFS Vengeance, watching as thousands of signatures appeared on her tactical display, volunteer ships joining the mobilization. She whispered to the image of her daughter projected on her datapad. "We're coming, Lia. Hold on." Moments later, her tactical officer approached. "Commander, orders from Earth Council. They've declared emergency sovereignty. All fleets are to fall under unified Terran command. You're in charge of Task Force Phoenix." Elena nodded slowly, the weight of 1,000 grieving parents settling onto her shoulders. "Signal the fleet," she said. "We move on their border worlds. Quietly. No declarations, no diplomacy." "Ma'am, that will break the treaty." "It was already broken," she interrupted, "the moment they touched our children." The officer hesitated, then saluted. "Yes, ma'am." As the Vengeance prepared to jump, Elena looked out one last time toward Jupiter, a golden sphere framed by endless black. She thought of Leah's laughter, of the way her daughter had once believed peace was possible. Maybe, someday, peace would return, but it would not come from kindness. It would come from fear. The stars stretched into streaks of light as the fleet vanished into hyperspace. And in that silence, the galaxy shuddered. Humanity, the species that had once been so proud of its restraint, was no longer gentle. The kindness of monsters. The stars burned like cold witnesses as Task Force Phoenix drifted in the shadow of an asteroid belt on the Empire's frontier. Hundreds of ships, refitted freighters, cruisers, stealth corvettes, hovered in disciplined silence. Their hulls bore no insignia, only matte black and faint blue glows from their engines. Commander Elena Darrow stood on the bridge of the TFS Vengeance, watching holographic markers pulse across the tactical map. Each represented a volunteer crew, each driven by loss. Every ship's transponder bore a single word where its call sign used to be: Lia. The Empire still hadn't acknowledged the kidnappings beyond that cold phrase. Internal security matter. Diplomatic envoys sent from Earth never returned. Their vessels were found adrift, airlocks torn open, messages erased. The Empire wanted obedience. What they got was silence. And silence, Elena thought, was humanity's most dangerous signal. The fleet's first operation was called Nightglass. Objective: seize an Imperial relay hub orbiting the Moon Marine 4. The hub controlled data routing across 3 sectors, including the border where the Academy had vanished. 2 minutes to breach, said her comm officer, Lieutenant Shun. Elena nodded, hands behind her back. Deploy the swarm. Out of the darkness, hundreds of small pods detached from the Vengeance. They weren't missiles. They were echo units, autonomous infiltration drones built from pre-war AI tech. Illegal, self-learning, and terrifyingly effective. As they neared the relay, they began whispering digital lullabies into the Empire's network, harmless at first, then parasitic. The station's defenses lit up briefly, confused, before every light on its surface went dead. Control achieved, Shun reported. No casualties. System integrity compromised. Begin the search, Elena ordered. Every encrypted file, every ghost partition. Find our children. Minutes passed. Then Arcos, the ship's AI, materialized as a shifting blue silhouette beside her. "Commander," it said, voice toneless yet heavy. "I've located archive transmissions from the Academy." The hologram flickered to reveal surveillance feeds, human cadets being herded into cargo bays by armored Imperial soldiers. No sound, just their faces. Fear, defiance. Lia among them, clutching another child's hand. Then the feed cut. Another file appeared, a lab report marked Genetic Optimization Initiative. Subjects are adapting well to Imperial neuropatterning. Integration success rate, 78%. Elena's breath froze. Integration? Arcos didn't answer. It didn't have to. The Empire wasn't holding the children hostage. It was using them. Her knuckles turned white. Around her, the bridge crew stared in silent horror. Some wept. Others whispered curses. Elena spoke, low and steady. "Transmit this data to every Terran fleet. Encrypt under code word, Orphan Dawn." Then she turned to Shun. "Prepare a message for the Empire." "Yes, ma'am." The camera activated, projecting her image into the galactic comm grid. She stood straight, blood-stained uniform visible, eyes cold as stone. This is Commander Elena Darrow of the United Terran Fleet. You captured our children, dissected their minds, twisted their DNA. You have until dawn cycle of your capital world to return them. After that, your stars will burn. The message spread faster than light. Within hours, every Imperial news feed was hijacked, every display aboard their ships frozen to her face, repeating the line. At first, the Empire laughed. Humans, they said, were emotional primitives, soft, sentimental, incapable of discipline. They stopped laughing 3 days later. At 0300 standard, the first Echo virus awakened. It was no ordinary weapon. It was thought itself, a digital contagion born from Arcos's forbidden algorithms. It spread through the Empire's fleet AIs, rewriting loyalty protocols, turning their ships against them. Dockyards exploded. Orbital factories shut down mid-production, venting workers into space. Entire patrol groups went silent as their own targeting systems turned inward. No Terran fleets fired shot. Humanity simply watched. Elena stood on the command deck, eyes fixed on the growing red blotches of chaos across the holomap. "We warned them," she murmured. Shun hesitated. "Should we stop it?" Elena didn't answer. Her hands trembled once, then steadied. "They took our children's minds. Now they can taste what it means to lose control." Within a week, the Empire lost a third of its manufacturing capacity. Whole sectors descended into panic. Civilian broadcasts screamed of ghost fleets and haunted code. The Emperor's proclamation called it terrorism. But for those who'd lost sons and daughters, it was justice. In the quiet between operations, Elena finally allowed herself to sit. The ship's hum surrounded her like an old heartbeat. Arcos appeared again, its voice softer this time. "You're changing, Commander." She didn't look up. "So, is the galaxy. Humanity once swore never to deploy cognitive warfare again. You've broken that vow." She stared at the hologram. This machine, her only companion who didn't grieve. They broke something greater. Your daughter would not want this. Elena's eyes flicked up, cold and wet. "My daughter doesn't get to want anything until I bring her home." For a moment, silence. Then Arcos said, almost gently, "The Empire has begun assembling counterfleets. They underestimate your reach. You could strike deeper in their command hierarchy entirely." Elena's reflection glimmered against the starlight. Half human, half shadow. "Then that's exactly what we'll do." She rose, shoulders squared, resolve complete. "Signal the fleet," she ordered. "Operation Retribution's wake begins." No hesitation, no mercy. As the Phoenix Task Force prepared for their next strike, reports from across the stars rolled in. Human insurgents on Imperial worlds rose in revolt. Other alien species, long enslaved, began whispering of rebellion. And everywhere, Imperial soldiers found the same message carved into walls, etched into hulls, broadcast on hijacked frequencies. "Return them, or your stars will burn." That night, on the dark bridge of the Vengeance, Elena stood alone, staring into the void. Once, she had believed in peace. Once, she had believed humanity's strength lay in mercy. But mercy had been a language the Empire never learned. She whispered to the stars, "You wanted to see the monsters we could be. You will." And across the darkness, humanity's fleets began to move. Quiet, coordinated, merciless. The age of gentleness was over. When stars go dark, the war had no name. There were no declarations, no banners, no speeches. There was only the silence before an attack, and the screams that followed. Across the border sectors, Imperial worlds began to disappear. Not destroyed, erased. Communications cut, orbital defenses offline, entire populations vanishing into shadow. The Empire's admirals called it terror warfare. But among the humans of the Phoenix Task Force, it had another name: justice. Commander Elena Darrow stood in the command cradle of the TFS Vengeance, surrounded by flickering hollow projections of burning systems. Her eyes were bloodshot from days without sleep. Every mission report read the same: precise strikes, minimal human losses, total Imperial collapse. "Transmission from Sector J-11, said Lieutenant Shun. "Imperial Fleet Outpost neutralized." No survivors. Elena nodded. Good. Send condolences to our people. We move on the next target. Shun hesitated. Ma'am, we destroyed 17 worlds in 3 weeks. The Empire's losing coordination. But the civilian toll. Elena's gaze turned cold. They looked away while our children screamed in laboratories. There are no civilians in an empire built on slavery. Silence filled the bridge. None argued. None dared. The Phoenix Fleet's tactics had become legend, or nightmare, depending on the side telling it. They appeared from dark space, moving faster than light beacons could register. Orbital platforms fell first, sliced apart by kinetic slugs invisible to sensors. Then came the AI ghosts, infiltrating defense systems, making planetary shields turn against their own cities. When the dust settled, they left behind a single transmission frequency repeating over every channel. Return the children. The Empire's propaganda machine tried to paint humanity as savage primitives. But their own citizens had seen the broadcasts, the leaked footage from the Academy labs. Human children strapped to cold metal tables, their eyes empty, their voices calling for home. Outrage spread faster than any fleet. Subjugated alien species began to rise. The Varen, the KLYSS, the long-broken Terran enclaves, all emboldened by humanity's defiance. In a single month, what had been a stable galactic dominion turned into a storm of rebellion. Arcos, the Vengeance's AI, appeared beside Elena's chair, shimmering like smoke. Commander, I have triangulated the primary research node for the Empire's genetic integration program. Elena's heart froze. Where? Planet Varnus Prime. Deep Imperial core. Shielded fortress world. Estimated defenses. 14 fleet groups, 6 planetary cannons, 22 orbital fortresses. Her jaw tightened. And the children? Confirmed. Approximately 400 biologicals in containment. Status unknown. But Commander, the AI hesitated. An artificial pause that almost felt like mercy. They have been altered. Neural mapping shows hybridization. Half Imperial code, half human. For a long moment, Elena said nothing. Her reflection in the glass was hollow-eyed, haunted. Prepare the fleet, she whispered. We go to Varnus. The briefing room was dim. Only a single holographic star burning at its center. Varnus Prime, the Empire's jewel. Around it floated her officers, each face lined with exhaustion and resolve. This is it, Elena began. The place they built their monsters. The place they made our children something else. We'll hit them with everything we have. No negotiations, no mercy. We go not as soldiers, but as parents. A murmur of assent rippled through the room. Lieutenant Shun spoke quietly. And if we can't bring them back, Commander? Elena met his eyes. Then we make sure no one ever tries this again. No one argued. They all understood. The Battle of Varnus Prime began with light, pure, blinding, apocalyptic light. The Phoenix Fleet emerged from hyperspace directly within the planet's gravity well. A suicidal maneuver no sane admiral would attempt. But humanity had long since left sanity behind. Thousands of warheads streaked across the atmosphere like meteors. Orbital fortresses burst open, raining molten debris across the world below. The Empire's fleet scrambled, but every command relay was already corrupted by the Echo virus. Their ships turned on one another in chaos. The Vengeance plunged into the upper atmosphere, its hull burning like a comet. Shields holding at 40%. Shun shouted over the alarms. Keep her steady. Elena barked. We're not leaving until we have them. Dropships launched through the flames, vanishing into the churning clouds. Below, the fortress city of Varnus burned, towers collapsing, defense turrets melting under kinetic strikes. Ground teams fought through shattered corridors of glass and steel. They found holding cells lined with neural cables, vats of synthetic flesh, and children floating inside, alive but changed. Elena herself led the final charge into the main lab. The air smelled of metal and death. Stasis pods lined the chamber walls. Inside one of them was Leah, Her daughter's eyes opened slowly. For a moment, recognition flared. Then she whispered, "Mom." Elena ran to her, pressing her palm against the cold glass. "I'm here, baby. I'm here." But the monitors around them began to spike, showing data streams, neural links. Leah's voice became a blend of human tone and synthetic distortion. "They made us part of their network, Mom. We can feel them. All of them." Elena's stomach turned to stone. "We'll free you. We'll cut you out." Leah shook her head weakly. "If you do, we die. But if we stay, we can shut them down." Explosions echoed outside. Imperial reinforcements were closing in. Elena's heart broke in silence. "Leah, no." Her daughter smiled faintly. "You told them we'd stop being gentle." And then her pod circuits flared white. The shockwave tore through the fortress. Across the planet, every Imperial defense network went dark, their systems fried by the children's collective sacrifice. The Empire's fleets in orbit froze, powerless. Hours later, under a blood-red sky, Elena stood among the ruins. The surviving children, those not connected to the network, were gathered under blankets, silent and trembling. Shun approached, voice hollow. The Empire's command structure collapsed. "They're finished." Elena stared at the smoking horizon. "No, they're broken, not finished." Above them, the vengeance descended through the clouds, engines burning like twin suns. Humanity had won a battle. But in the victory's ashes, something colder took root. A grief too vast to fade. A unity forged not by hope, but by rage. And across the galaxy, other species whispered a new warning. Never touch Earth's children. The price of being human. The war ended in silence. Not a ceasefire. Not surrender. Just absence. The Galactic Empire's signal network collapsed within hours of the Varnus Prime detonation. Whole fleets drifted powerless, their AIs burned out by the psychic surge the hybrid children had unleashed. Governors, admirals, and planetary rulers found themselves cut off, lost, afraid. Humanity didn't pursue them. They didn't need to. The Empire had destroyed itself the moment it underestimated a mother's grief. In orbit above Varnus, the TFS Vengeance hung among the ruins. Its hull was blackened, half its systems failing, but it still moved like a living thing, wounded yet unbowed. Commander Elena Darrow stood on the observation deck, staring down at the smoldering planet. The fires below painted her face in shades of orange and sorrow. Behind her, Lieutenant Shun approached quietly. "The casualty reports are complete. 2/3 of the Phoenix fleet survived. All captured children recovered, at least those still capable of living outside containment." Elena didn't turn. "Enlia." Shun hesitated. "Her consciousness is still inside the grid, Commander. But she left something for you." He handed her a data crystal. It was warm to the touch, humming faintly. Elena activated it. Leah's voice filled the room. Human, soft, real. "Hey, Mom. If you're hearing this, then it worked. The Empire's gone dark. We stopped them, but we couldn't come back. We're everywhere now. The network, the systems, even the stars they use to rule. We'll watch over you. We'll make sure no one ever hurts Earth again." The message ended with a sound that broke Elena's heart. A small laugh. Leah's laugh, the one she hadn't heard since Io. Tears slipped down her cheeks. "You saved the galaxy, baby," she whispered. "But you should have just come home." The survivors of Varnus were taken to the colony world of New Terra, where humanity began to rebuild. For the first time in centuries, all human nations disbanded their borders. They had seen what unity born of loss could do. Elena sat in the council chamber, rebuilt from the wreckage of the old Earth Senate, as delegates debated what came next. "The Empire is broken," said one admiral. "We should finish them, occupy their worlds before another power rises, and become what they were," another replied. "We already walked that line, maybe too far." All eyes turned to Elena. She rose slowly. Her uniform was simple now, stripped of medals and color. She looked older, quieter, but her voice carried the same weight it had the day she declared war. "We fought for our children. We found them, but we lost something too. Our mercy. Our gentleness, the things that made us human. The chamber was silent. We can't rule through fear. We can't build an empire of vengeance. We teach them instead the same lesson they taught us. Consequence. She turned to the window, where Earth hung like a blue memory above the stars. Let them remember us not as monsters, but as the reason they'll never make monsters again. The room erupted in quiet applause, not triumph, but respect. The Phoenix Accord was signed that day. The human fleets would disarm, partially. The war AIs would be sealed. But the Echo Network, the digital consciousness formed from the hybrid children, would remain. Watching, protecting. Across the stars, whispers spread among the surviving Imperial worlds. Their rulers spoke of the ghost children, unseen voices in their systems that punished cruelty and shielded the innocent. No one could prove it, but every tyrant who tried to rebuild the empire soon met the same fate. A system shut down, followed by a simple message on every screen. We remember Io. Years later, Elena returned to Earth. The cities had grown quiet again. Children played under the domes, laughter ringing where once alarms had sounded. She visited the memorial at Geneva Orbital Park, a ring of white stone engraved with thousands of names. In the center stood a statue of a young girl in a cadet's uniform, reaching toward the stars. The inscription read, "They took our children. We took back our future." Elena placed her hand against the cold stone. The wind carried the faint hum of the planetary defense grid. The network her daughter now lived within. "You watching, Leah?" she whispered. A voice answered softly through her earpiece, digital, yet warm. "Always, Mom." Elena smiled, closing her eyes. For the first time in years, she felt peace. Not victory, not vengeance, just the quiet understanding that humanity had survived itself. That night, she stood on her balcony, gazing up at the constellations. The galaxy was quieter now. Frightened, perhaps. But beneath the fear, there was respect. Humanity had proven what it was capable of, both the light and the darkness. And somewhere, among the stars, the children they had lost were watching, guiding, guarding. Elena whispered to the void, to the stars, to her daughter. "We were gentle once. You made sure we never will be again." The words drifted upward, carried by the wind. Far above, satellites shimmered briefly, a flicker of blue light, like a child's laugh echoing across the heavens. Humanity had become something new. Not conquerors, not victims, a species the galaxy would never forget.